Hey, how about I unmute my mic? Okay, so welcome to Monday Night Live. I'm your host, Dr. Rita Louise, and thank you all for tuning in today. Thank God I didn't get so far in this monologue for me to be like, I'm not even starting over. So you might be wondering what all this crap is, or I'm going to try to move out of the way, is in the background. So today I got to work as an apprentice electrician at this like oil truck clean out, water reclamation, something plant, and they were building another piece. I don't freaking know. I just know that I worked there and there were a lot of men. And so that like made it be okay. And so this, why do I keep moving in the wrong direction? So the stuff that you see hanging on that board, I mounted myself and I got to help run conduit and run wire and I don't know, stuff, whatever he told me to do. Because I am pretty smart and I am pretty handy. And you just have to say, here, do this. And it's like, oh, okay, even though I don't really know, why I'm doing it. I mean, you know what I mean. Anyway, um, but it was actually pretty good. And I enjoyed, being outside and putting in a good full day of work. I mean, my life consists of working with clients. So I'm sitting in my office or working on my book. So I'm sitting in my office or sitting in my office. I mean, that's pretty much what I do. So it felt really good to me and really refreshing. And it helped me move out like weird funk by being outside and being active and in the fresh air. And I know I've talked about mindfulness in the past and how doing physical activity can be a very mindful practice. And I felt like I got my share of mindfulness in today where I was just busy doing stuff at this place that I don't even know what they do, but there were men and it was okay. Anyway, but last week, so my topic this week, and I'm going to get to that in a second, but last week my topic was integrity, or the lack thereof in many people where they just don't really care about what's going on. They don't do what they say they're going to do. They just watch it. If you didn't see it, I was just a little fiery and I had a flame in the background because I was a little bit fiery. But I want to talk about a parallel emotion today, and that's pride. And let me just read you this quick definition of what pride is. And there were several different takes on it, but this is the one that I really want to focus on. And this definition says pleasure or satisfaction taken in an achievement, possession, or association, with the key words being pleasure or taken. So, how can you get pleasure or satisfaction when you do a crap job, when you just sit there and like throw stuff together and you don't really even care if you are trying or not? And, you know, there's no pride. And many people think, well, no one's going to notice, well, I just did a half-ass job, but they don't pay me enough money. But I have to tell you, people notice. People know that they're getting a half-ass thing, and we seem to like ignore the fact that there are people on the other end receiving your lack of pride in what you're doing. And I don't know if this was my family. I don't know if this was just how things were back in the day. But I just feel like for me, I'll just say for me, if I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it to the best of my ability. I'm going to do a good job. Why bother? Why bother taking the time to do something if you're not going to do a good job, it takes just as much time. I mean, all right, maybe a little bit more to do a good job than to do a half-ass job. And if you do a half-ass job and you have to go back and fix it, like my plumbing last week, um, then really you didn't save any time, you didn't save any money because you're having to go and take care of what you didn't do right in the first place. But then there's this part of me that just doesn't understand how people don't care about the outcome of the things that they do, and how that reflects on them or their business or their service. You call a place up and they'll tell you, it's like, oh, well, we'll call you back in an hour, or we'll call you back in 24 hours. And then they never do. So you end up back on the phone. It's like, how is that a good reflection of them, and of what they have to offer? And why would you want to deal with that person if that's really what you're going to get? Um, all right, I'm trying to. Here's another little piece to it. It's one thing if you do a bad job because you're just really not good at it. And it's another thing to do a bad job because you just don't care. Um, and I was trying to think of an example, because as I said, I always try to do my best job in anything I do. But I have to tell you, I have said this before, I'm a little bit dyslexic. And when it comes to numbers in particular, numbers and phonics, oh, not very good. And so balancing a checkbook is really challenging. And I can sit there and have this long list of numbers, and I'm there with the calculator and plugging those numbers in, and I'll do it 3 or 4 times and I'll get 3 or 4 different answers. And so the one that I pick for my balance is the number that I've come up with more than one time. Okay. And it's not that I'm being lazy. I'm trying to do a good job, but it's just very challenging for me to do that. And I think people on the receiving end recognize that you did try to do a good job. You just kind of suck at it, and it's a totally different vibe. It's a totally different, you can accept it more that somebody screwed up at, from an accident, and they made a mistake versus somebody screwing up because they just didn't care. Again, it's a very different vibe. Um, and then there's the golden rule. The golden rule, you know, um, we all complain about people not caring and people not having integrity and people not having pride in their work. But if we all started taking pride in the things that we're doing and put our effort in and put our best intention in, then maybe that would start rubbing off on other people and start changing the way that things are going these days. And maybe, I'm not saying like, hey, kumbaya, let's all get together. But why waste everybody's time? Because it really is a giant waste of everybody's time. And as the end user or consumer, it ends up being our biggest waste of time. And I'm sure everyone has had the experience where you're on the phone and you're on the phone and you're calling them up 50 times because they're not taking care of what you need them to take care of because they don't care. Well, people need to care, or else in my opinion, we're just kind of doomed. Anyway, that's my rant for today. Take pride, do the best you can, even if you can't add the damn numbers up. Try. Maybe caveat it with, hey, I'm a little dyslexic, so it might not be right, but I tried. Anyway, so today's episode, like every episode, is brought to you by soulhealer.com. If you want to schedule a private consultation with me, please visit www.soul, or not www, just soulhealer.com. Soulhealer.com. Send me a message. Please like my Facebook page, Dr. Rita Louise, not Rita Louise, but Dr. Rita Louise on Facebook, or my YouTube page, Just Energy Radio on YouTube. Please subscribe to that channel. Please share these videos with your friends. Tell them that they can come here on Monday night, hang out with me. You never know what the hell I'm going to talk about. And they can get a free reading, which, trust me, is not cheap. Anyway, so I am going to switch screens. I know there's going to be a whole bunch about mute, but I fixed it. And I had my mute paper right there, but did I pay attention to it? No. It's like listening to yourself. Don't even listen to your own papers. Okay, so let's see what people. Okay, so I flipped on here, and Bradley George, I just have to read this one. I'm reading lips or something to that effect. Okay, thank you, Bradley. Okay, so I don't know who this Tina is, and I'm going to assume she is not here because this message came in at 4:36 p.m. And she says, "Hi, I would like to know if I am moving house." So I'm assuming she's saying I want to know if I'm moving soon. I'll go with moving soon. And actually, Tina, I do feel that. I feel like there's something, that you've been kind of actively looking, or at least putting out feelers that way, and something that will come up that fits the criteria that you're looking for. And I feel like it will be a very fast turnaround on that. So cool. All right, so let's see, sound volume. Yeah, but Veronica, I fixed it faster. Okay. Hey, Mikey. And then Bradley said, anything worth doing is worth doing well. And I have to agree, and I feel like even if you're doing something that's not necessarily worthwhile, like, mowing your lawn or something like that, that when you do it, with pride or with intention, or, whatever word you want to put there, it makes it so it goes better, it goes faster, smoother. I don't know, because you're not out there like complaining and moaning, oh, I have to mow the lawn, or, you're out there like, hey, I have to mow the lawn. I'm going to get this done. And there is that feeling of satisfaction and pleasure at looking at a job well done, or even just a job done. So on my property, I'm on a very big lot, and the very back of my property backs up to, it's a state highway, but it's just, like goes through town, it's not like a freeway. And there's this hill that it's a pretty steep angle that goes down. And so the city gets on my case to like mow it, which isn't ever going to happen. But to take the weeds down, because they're getting too high and it's against code, and it's right on this main road. So I'm kind of a target. So like once a month, I'll go out there with my weed eater at like 8 o'clock in the morning on a Sunday, because there's not a lot of traffic. Because if I slid down the hill, I would slide right into the highway. And, my vision is that I'll get hit by a car, because there's absolutely no shoulder. Now, in that situation, I don't really care if I do a good job or not. My goal is to get it done and not die. That's the goal. Get it done, not die. And so when I get it done and I'm not dead, and I don't like kind of slip down the hill so it scares the crap out of me or whatever, I have that sense of satisfaction and pride that, yay, I got that thing weed out and didn't slide down the hill and die, which is always a bonus. And you all would miss me on Monday nights. Anyway, all right, let's see who else is here. So Maria's here, and she has a question that I'm going to get to in a second. Hey, Miss Cindy. Uh, all right, so let's see. Maria, I am having crazy problems in my personal life. Is there anything I can do, or is it something beyond my control? And Maria, no, you shouldn't have posted it earlier. I don't know why that person posted something at 4:30. So because one of the things about this format is that you can have a little bit of dialogue happening all at the same time. So it's all good. Um, so Maria, one of the things that you're showing me is that so I'm going to talk a little technical to you because I know that you'll hear me, that your body is not real grounded. I see and understand and recognize that there is fear in your space, totally understandable with your situation. And I think, kind of on a two-prong measure here, the calmer your inside world is, the calmer your outside world is. The more haywire your inside world is, the more haywire the outside world is going to seem. And so anything that you can do to calm the crazy inside, whether that is to meditate, to be more mindful, to do tapping, to go sit out in the sunshine or get in a walk, whatever those things are for you. If you can do some of that every day, I feel like it will help you and your body and your psyche to unwind. And so then when something crazy does happen, it's not bouncing off of you with the same level of response, because you're calmer inside, you know. All right, now I'm going to say this, and don't hate me for saying this, but it's okay for you to be vulnerable, and it's okay for you to cry, and it is okay for you to be scared, and you don't have to. You don't have to. You don't have to anything. You don't have to sit there and be the big, strong soldier, or doing all of these things to prove something to somebody. I think right now the most important thing for you is for you to just be you and love and honor yourself and accept yourself for wherever you are on any day, on any particular moment throughout the day. And when things are being a little bit more challenging, then it's time for you to love and accept and love on yourself just that much more. I hope that makes sense. And if you have a comment or a follow up, because I don't have a whole lot of questions today, please just do post that below. Hey, Dave, how's it going? So you missed my opening, so you might be wondering why there's that and I'm going to go like the right direction today, this weird electrical stuff back there. It's because I got to play junior electrician today and was out on a job site doing electrician-y things, which really wasn't all that hard, except for the guy I was working for with bending conduit and somehow making it fit together, which would never, ever, 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 ever happen on my watch. It would be like, here, let's just duct tape. See, that's where that it's pride, but yeah. All right. So, anybody have any questions? And it doesn't have to be like a reading question. It could be about anything you would like for me to talk about, because I have a half hour and not really a whole lot of material in hand, because you know me, I never have material. Okay, Maria's back. Let's see. And so her comment is, it does. It is exactly what I am feeling, and you gave me loving validation. Well, Maria, you know I love you, and so I can only give you loving stuff back. But yeah, just love yourself and screw everybody else because they don't have pride or integrity. I swear. Okay, so let's see. What am I going to talk about? One of the other things that was good with this little jobby thing that I'm doing it again tomorrow. Um, so usually I go to the gym every morning and I get on the rowing machine and I do about 20 minutes of rowing, which correlates to 27,000 meters, which I'm looking at upping. And actually, I was going to up it this week, but now I'm out like being an electrician, something new to add to my resume. But I have to tell you, it's like it was a lot of work. I mean, even though I don't really feel like I did all that much, but it was like walk up and down these stairs, walk to the truck, hold this, screw these things in, lift this, hold that. And for the people that really know me, I even ate lunch. I was hungry. Anyway, and so getting exercise in is, just one of those things that's really important to our health and well-being. Whether you're going to the gym or you're doing some kind of physical activity like mowing the lawn or pruning bushes or, anything that gets you up and moving around. When I first bought my house, I mean, for those that weren't following the transformation, it was a dump. And it took me 4 years to make it good enough to have a housewarming party because it was a dump. And so every day I would spend time climbing up and down ladders, sanding walls, like mudding walls and sanding walls and mudding ceilings, and that kind of was my exercise, mowing the lawn. I mean, and just taking care of this stuff. So I didn't really feel like I needed to go to the gym because I was constantly moving around and doing things, but that phase of the project has kind of ended. So I don't have any sanding or mudding to do, which I really do kind of miss. Um, but I don't know, and Dave, I know that you're right there, probably listening. Um, I find that I get a lot of satisfaction when I'm doing that kind of physical activity, when I'm building stuff or making stuff or fixing things, that it fills my soul and it empties the crap out of me, the yucky toxic stuff out of me, and it fills my soul with satisfaction and pleasure. So Dave, I would love to hear your opinion on that if you're still there. Okay, so let's see. So Veronica is back and she said, what can I do to ground more effectively? I have pain issues, so I leave my body some. Some. Yeah, right. Okay, so, and actually, and I can't post this, but let me, bear with me here 1 second. And of course, this is just going to like dog. So on my webpage, there is an article. Here, there it is. It's called Calm Your Mind and Spirit with a Free Sample Grounding Technique. Well, that's got bad grammar, doesn't it? Calm your mind and spirit with a free, simple, not sample, with a free, simple grounding technique. And it's under the article slash healing trauma. Anyway, so it teaches you how to ground your whole body, not just different areas, and so that's something that I recommend to people if they're having a hard time grounding is to work with this technique. It's very effective. The audio, there's an audio file on there so you can listen to my wonderful voice leading you through a guided meditation. But you can listen to it. But the goal is for you to learn the technique and use it on your own and not just to listen to the auditory over and over again. So, with that said, so you can learn that basic technique of creating a grounding cord, which is a line of energy that goes from the base of your spine down to the center of the planet. And one of the things that's important is to set that grounding cord on release. So it's kind of like opening up the spigot to the hose on outside of your house to allow that energy to flow out of your body. So with that said, what that technique teaches you is how to create a grounding cord from the base of your spine to the center of the planet. And that is wonderful to clear the body, to clear the auric field of any residual energy that it's holding on to. Now, when people have physical pain, especially if the pain tends to be more localized and not every single joint in your body kind of thing, one of the things that I will often recommend to them is to make a little separate independent grounding cord going from, and it's kind of a visualization thing, the lowest point of that body part down to the center of the planet. Um, so I've worked, just as an example, I've worked with women who had like, female issues and they would get really bad cramps and their ovary would be inflamed, and so I would give the specific ovary a grounding cord so that it could discharge very specifically the energy that it was holding on to and let it go, because inflammation is really energy that we're hanging on to and not releasing from a specific spot. Okay, so Veronica, I usually lie in grass, and that's okay, but it's not particularly specific. The technique on the page, Calm Your Mind and Spirit with a Free, Simple Grounding Technique, is very specific, and, lying on the grass, I mean, it does help. It does work, but this is a very nailed down, hardcore technique that anybody can do and anybody can learn. So I would highly recommend it. Well, I was kind of hoping that I would hear from Dave with something, but not so much. All right. So I don't know. Anybody else have anything they would like to talk about? Bradley, is you still there? Maria, is there something? And again, it doesn't have to be a question about something going on in your life. It could be a question about, well, hell, just about anything. And now that I'm like an electrician assistant person, I could tell you about all of your electrical needs because I stayed at a Holiday Inn last night, so I know everything. All righty. Da, 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 da. Okay, so let's see. What else could I possibly talk about? Mm-hmm. Ooh, ooh, ooh. So Bradley says, my birthday is next Monday. Everything will be all right. So is that a question? Hmm. I don't know. Let's see. I mean, that's kind of like predict the future kind of question, but hang on. Let's see. Well, this is kind of interesting, and I'm just going to go with it, but I just get the impression that there's going to be something that comes up in the morning that is pretty crappy. And I hope that you can just sit there and think of my voice, because I feel like the sooner you can just let it go and not latch on to what's going on, because it feels more like, you know, an annoyance and something that's just aggravating to you. Um, the faster that you can let that go, the better your day is going to be. But I am feeling like there is something fairly early in the morning, like around 9 o'clock, that is just going to piss you off. Sorry. Make sure you take care of yourself. Okay, so let's see. Okay, so Maria wants to know, what is the name of your book that drew parallels of the flood story? I would love to get it. So you can get it under two different titles depending on where you want to go. So if you go on Amazon, it is available as E.T. Chronicles: What Myth and Legends Have to Say About Human Origins. E.T. Chronicles: What Myth and Legends Have to Say About Human Origins. If you go on my website, you can get the ET Chronicles. I have a few copies of that left, but that book is being sold under the original title with the original cover as Man-Made: The Chronicles of Our Extraterrestrial Gods. Man-Made: The Chronicles of Our Extraterrestrial Gods. So if you try to find Man-Made on Amazon, you will not find it because it's not available there. How's that? So okay, so Pretty Jones wants to know, do I have anything for you? So Pretty, do you have anything, usually I answer questions and I'm not doing cards, so I don't really do general readings. So if you could ask a little bit more specific question, kind of guide me into an area that you want some insights on, that would be really great. Okay. Okay. So Pretty is back. Well, I'm getting ready to have a baby. Well, that's pretty specific. Okay, hang on one second. Uh, Pretty, I feel like things are actually going really well. Um, I get the impression that you're going to be a little bit ahead of your due date, just a couple of days, like 2 or 3 days ahead of your due date. I feel like, well, actually, you're giving a little bit of a mixed message. I mean, I feel like it's going to be fairly easy, and I just want to give you the heads up. The more relaxed you can be going into it, the more relaxed you can be as part of it, the easier the delivery is going to be. I mean, I know that there's a lot of pain and discomfort that is part of that whole experience. Um, but I feel like, not latching on to things that are going on around you and taking them personal or having things need to be perfect. Um, because I get the impression that you can have those moments where and I don't even know how else to say this, that you maybe get a little persnickety. um, Let it go. You don't have to be perfect. The world doesn't have to be perfect. The beds don't have to have hospital corners. It's all okay. Just go have the baby, enjoy the experience. Um, yeah, yeah. But no, I think it's going to be okay. So if it wasn't about the labor and delivery part about the baby, if there's another area that I need to look at, please do ask below. Okay. Um, so I have been working on my new book that the working title is Transcending the Dysfunctional Dance, which I know that title is going to go away. And I've kind of taken a break from it for a little over a month. And, I'm coming back and I'm going through doing another edit. Now, I've already gone through and edited this thing, I don't know, 5 or 6 times. And, and I'm still, I just did like some major rewrites in it, and I'm like, God, is it ever going to come to an end? But I'm feeling really good. I'm like going, wow, she's a pretty good writer, and this is actually interesting and entertaining, and I'm hoping that people that do read it will find it the same way. Okay, so Pretty came back and said, thanks, but I don't want to have one right now. No, Pretty, I'm not saying that you're going to like have it in 2 or 3 days. What I'm saying is, whatever your due date is, which I get the impression you still have a little bit more time before your due date, that it's going to be like 2 or 3 days before the date the doctor gave you, which I don't get the impression is like in 2 or 3 days. I feel like, you still have several weeks to a month or so left, maybe even more on this pregnancy. Um, yeah. So yeah, not right now. Not no, not right now. That would be crazy. Okay, so that was the end of my questions. Anybody else have a question for me? You're so welcome. All right. Well, tonight's a very slow night, so I'm just going to ask, the people that are in here, the people that come pretty often, if you would just share these videos with people or let them know that this thing is happening, because I would really, really appreciate it. Getting those numbers up, where it can be just a little bit more lively and I'm just not talking for an hour about not a whole lot, or else I'll just change the whole format and just come up with something that I'm going to talk about and not open the line up. And, anyway, all right. So it's pretty quiet. I am going to go ahead and sign out. And so I'm Dr. Louise.